Let's talk about a book that's, well, pretty controversial. Robert Greene's The 48 Laws of Power is one of those books that everyone seems to have an opinion on. Is it a sinister guide to manipulating everyone around you? Or is it a really practical look at the rules of the world that nobody ever talks about? In this explainer, we're going to unpack its core ideas, looking at it as a fascinating study of strategy and, really, human nature itself.
Right out of the gate, the book hits you with this powerful quote from Machiavelli, and honestly, it sets the tone perfectly. The 48 Laws are built on one pretty stark idea. The world isn't always a kind or fair place, and if you want to survive, let alone succeed, you have to understand how power really works, not just how you wish it did. So Greene's whole argument is that we're all players in what he calls a giant scheming court. You can't just decide you're not going to play. Trying to do that doesn't make you a better person, it just makes you a pawn in somebody else's game. So understanding these laws, it's really presented as a form of self-defense, a way to move through the world without getting crushed. And that brings us to our first major theme, mastering your image. Because in the game of power, perception is reality. A whole bunch of these laws are all about controlling how other people see you. Because, well, what people don't see might as well not exist.
This one is a classic. You might think the best way to get a promotion is to dazzle your boss with how smart and talented you are. The book says, nope, bad move. Your brilliance can actually make your superiors feel insecure, threatened, even obsolete. The real trick is to make them look more brilliant because you're on their team.
And there's this incredible story that shows exactly why. It's about a guy named Nicolas Fouquet, who was the super ambitious finance minister for France's King Louis XIV. Fouquet really wanted to impress the king, so he threw what was probably the most amazing party Europe had ever seen. The party was a complete disaster for Fouquet. Why? Because it was so incredible that it made the king's own palaces look, well, a little shabby in comparison. Louis felt humiliated, outshone, and the very next day he had Fouquet arrested on some trumped-up charges and thrown in prison for the rest of his life. And who did he hire to replace him? The bland, quiet Colbert, a man who made absolutely sure that all the money and all the glory went straight to the king.
Now, on the flip side of not outshining your master is making sure you're not invisible. Being ignored, according to this book, is a kind of death. Greene says you have to stand out, be seen, become a magnet for attention. And get this, even negative attention is better than no attention at all, because it keeps you in the conversation and makes you seem important.
The absolute master of this was the showman P.T. Barnum. This guy was a genius at this stuff. He would pull these bizarre stunts and even invite scandal for one reason. He knew that notoriety, whether it was good or bad, filled the seats in his circus. He could take any kind of attention and spin it into influence and money.
So this leads us to our second big theme, winning without words. It's not always about what you say, it's about what you do. Getting into a direct argument just creates anger and resentment, but taking indirect action, that can get you what you want and leave everyone feeling like they won.
I mean, think about it. When was the last time you really won an argument? Did the other person actually change their mind, or did they just get quiet? A verbal win is almost always a hollow victory. People hate being proven wrong. But a demonstration? That lets them connect the dots themselves. It makes your point for you without creating a new enemy.
Here is a fantastic story about this. So you've got the great artist Michelangelo. He's just finished his absolute masterpiece, the Statue of David. His patron, a politician named Piero Soderini, comes to check it out. He says he loves it, but, he thinks the nose is just a little too big. Now, Michelangelo knew that arguing would be totally pointless. It would just offend his boss. So he just demonstrated. He climbed up the scaffolding, pretended to tap away at the nose, all while secretly dropping a handful of marble dust he had hidden in his palm. Soderini, watching from below, saw the dust fall and declared the fix was perfect. Michelangelo saved his masterpiece, proved his point, and let his boss feel brilliant. Now that's power.
All right, our third theme zooms out from these individual moves to the long game, what we can call the strategist's mindset. And this is all about emotional control, detaching from the heat of the moment to focus on the final outcome, not just the temporary thrill of a win.
Okay, this law sounds brutal. And it is. The logic here is ice cold. An enemy that you spare is an enemy who will recover, learn from what happened, and eventually come back for revenge. So mercy, in a purely strategic sense, is a dangerous gamble. If you leave even one tiny ember smoldering, you're just waiting for a fire to burn you down later.
The ancient Chinese general Xiang Yu had his rival Liu Bang beaten multiple times. He could have finished him, but he chose mercy instead. Liu Bang, on the other hand, learned the lesson his rival failed to. When the tables turned, an advisor told him letting Xiang go would be like rearing a tiger. Liu Bang listened. He crushed Xiang totally and went on to found the entire Han dynasty, one of China's most important.
But, and this is a really important but, there's a critical counterpoint to that ruthlessness, knowing when to stop. Victory is intoxicating. It can make you arrogant, overconfident. You win, you feel that rush, and you just want to keep pushing for more and more. And that's often exactly when you're most vulnerable.
History gives us two perfect contrasting examples here. On one side, you have Cyrus the Great. The guy had literally conquered the known world, but it wasn't enough. He attacked one more small tribe just for a bit more glory, got lured into a trap, and was completely destroyed. Compare that to Madame de Pompadour. Once she secured her position as the French king's mistress, she didn't grasp for more titles. She cleverly transitioned into the role of his trusted friend and advisor, and she kept her power and influence for the rest of her life.
So, what do we do with all of this? Is this book just a manual for becoming a ruthless tyrant? Well, the book's own conclusion suggests another way to see it. It's about understanding the game, so you can defend yourself from the people who are playing it. The book itself tells you to use these laws as a kind of lens. Look at your own past. Have you ever made a boss feel insecure? Have you ever gotten into a pointless argument when you should have just demonstrated your point? By analyzing your own history this way, you can start to break those harmful patterns. And, more importantly, you can spot these tactics when other people try to use them on you. It turns knowledge into a shield. And that leaves us with the big question at the heart of it all. Do you see these 48 laws as a playbook for your own success, or as a field guide for spotting the sharks in the water? Either way you look at it, the underlying message is pretty clear. When it comes to the game of power, ignorance is never, ever bliss.